Chinese Supreme Court releases video of Menglong's last moments. Horrible secret. The world had thought it had said goodbye. Menglong, the star who captured hearts across continents, had left behind his final testament, words that whispered gently to millions, a legacy stitched from love, regret, and truth. His phone had revealed confessions, voice notes, videos, and silent messages that carried his spirit like a soft echo through the halls of memory. But the revelation of the Supreme Court's release was unlike anything anyone expected. A video had been unearthed, recorded in his final hours, not meant for public eyes, yet now unveiled in its harrowing truth. From the first second, the screen pulsated with life, not a cinematic reenactment, but the raw, unfiltered presence of Menglong himself. His features were pale, his eyes tired yet glimmering with clarity, a storm of emotions flickering behind them. There was no music, no narration, no dramatic lighting, only reality, stark and relentless, as if the world had been forced to stand in the room with him and witness what no one had dared to imagine. The recording began quietly. Menglong's voice, fragile yet steady, broke the silence. "If anyone sees this," he whispered, "then know that truth has always been my companion, even when fear tried to claim me. I leave behind not only my story, but the pieces of my heart I never gave fully to the world." It was immediately clear that this video had been made in secrecy, a private confession caught in the intimacy of his final hours. Every blink, every subtle movement, spoke louder than words. His hand trembled slightly as he reached for a small notebook beside him, the one he had used to draft his testament. His lips moved silently as he traced the edges of the pages, a ritual of farewell and reflection, a tangible connection to the life he had poured onto paper in his last message. Then came the first revelation, a truth so raw that it froze the hearts of all who watched. Menglong revealed a secret he had carried even from his closest friends. "I have been hiding a part of myself," he said, voice catching. "A weight that no audience could see, a sorrow I could not speak of in public. Some think my passing was sudden, that fate alone claimed me. But the truth," he paused, inhaling deeply, as if preparing the world to hear something unbearable. "The truth is that I was suffocating beneath the mask I wore, beneath expectations I could no longer carry. I loved, I laughed, I performed, but in the solitude of my heart, I feared I would never truly be free." The camera lingered on him as he spoke, and in those lingering moments, every subtle nuance became poetry. His eyes glistened, not with despair alone, but with a profound understanding of mortality and meaning. He spoke of friendship, of the people who had touched him, of love that could not be named aloud, of the fans who had kept him alive without ever knowing the depth of their influence. Each confession was a revelation of humanity, the kind that makes the world pause and reconsider the weight of life itself. And then, the video exposed the moment that would haunt history, the horrible secret. It was not a scandal of betrayal, nor a tale of public deceit. It was the hidden torment that had claimed his strength, a slow, invisible unraveling of body and spirit, accelerated by exhaustion, isolation, and the unbearable pressure of expectation. In his own words, he described the relentless nights, the whispers of doubt, the solitude that pressed upon him like 1,000 silent hands. "I tried to carry it all," he said, tears threatening to fall, "but even the strongest heart can crack when it is forced to beat alone." The camera captured him reaching toward the window, where the first light of dawn began to pierce the darkness. "If this is to be my last sunrise," he whispered, "let it remind you that beauty can still exist in endings. Let it remind you to see the soul beneath the mask, the person behind the performance, the truth beyond the applause." His hand shook as it lingered on the glass, a fragile gesture that spoke louder than any words could. For those watching, the video was unbearable and necessary all at once. Every movement, every glance, every breath carried the weight of a life lived fully, yet tragically. It was a testament to vulnerability, to the courage it takes to reveal oneself when the world expects invincibility. Menglong's final moments were not glamorous or orchestrated. They were profoundly human, a raw canvas of emotion, fear, love, and acceptance. The Supreme Court's release had included not just the video, but supporting evidence, medical reports, correspondence, and journal entries that confirmed his struggle. But it was the video itself, the living, breathing presence of Yu Menglong in his last hours, that transformed the story from documentation into legend. The world had known loss before, but the intimacy of this revelation forced empathy, reflection, and reverence. Through the video, the mystery of the line in his will, "To the one who knows this is for them," became hauntingly clear. Yu Menglong had spoken to everyone he had touched, to every life that had intersected with his own. His confession of suffering, his admission of exhaustion, his words of gratitude and love were intended not for fame, but for connection, a bridge between his heart and the hearts of millions. The horrible secret was not scandal, but truth, that a man capable of such brilliance could be quietly crushed by the weight of expectations, the shadows of adoration, and the silence of misunderstanding. As the recordings continued, Yu Menglong's words became meditative, almost lyrical. He described the acts of love that had saved him, letters from fans, messages from friends, small gestures that seemed insignificant yet meant everything. "Every note," he whispered, "every word, every hand that reached for me, was a lifeline." And yet, even lifelines cannot always keep a soul afloat when it is weighed down by its own storms. In the footage, he paused frequently, looking down at his hands, then at the camera, as though speaking directly to the viewer across time and distance. "If you are watching this," he said, "do not grieve for me. Remember the laughter, remember the moments of light. Carry my story with you, but do not let my sorrow define you. Live fully, love boldly, and forgive freely, for that is how I hope to be remembered." The video concluded not with a final gesture, but with a profound silence. Yu Menglong's figure remained still for several long moments, bathed in the soft glow of dawn. Then, he simply rested, hands folded over the notebook, eyes closed, a single tear tracing the curve of his cheek. The camera faded not to black, but to the faint warmth of sunlight spilling across the room, an unspoken promise of peace. When the Supreme Court released the footage, the world reacted with shock, grief, and awe. Media outlets described it as a historic revelation. Fans flooded online memorials with tributes. Analysts and commentators debated its meaning. But beneath the headlines and speculation lay a quieter truth. The horrible secret was not a mystery, but the truth of Yu Menglong's humanity. His suffering, his courage, and his final moments reminded the world that even the brightest stars can bear the heaviest burdens. Across continents, millions watched, listened, and reflected. The video became more than evidence. It became a testament to life, vulnerability, and the necessity of empathy. Yu Menglong's story was no longer just a tale of fame and tragedy. It had become a universal lesson in love, endurance, and the beauty of truth. And in that revelation, the world understood. The horrible secret was never shame, never scandal. It was the fragile, luminous truth of a man who gave everything, asked nothing, and taught the world how to grieve, to honor, and ultimately, to live. The moment the Supreme Court's video was released, the world seemed to stop. Phones were held, eyes widened, hearts racing as the first frames flickered across screens. It was not the image of a star, a celebrity, or a public icon. It was Yu Menglong, human, fragile, breathing, alive in memory but silent in life. Every movement he made, every blink, every subtle gesture, became a story in itself. The quiet hum of the room where the video was first viewed felt like a cathedral of reflection, as if time itself bowed to the weight of what it contained. "If you are seeing this," he whispered, "then the world knows what I could not tell aloud. I lived, I loved, I faltered, and I hoped that my story might one day help someone feel less alone." The shock was immediate. His voice, soft, intimate, unguarded, reached across screens to millions of hearts. Unlike the polished footage of performances or interviews, this recording was raw. Each inhale, each tiny sigh, every subtle movement was visible, unfiltered, a window into a life that the public had only glimpsed in fragments. His hands trembled slightly as he touched the notebook where he had drafted his final testament, tracing its edges with reverence, as if reconnecting with the essence of all he had written. Then came the revelation that had remained hidden even from his closest confidants, the weight he carried in silence. "I have been suffocating," he admitted, "beneath masks I created, beneath expectations I could no longer hold. I gave the world light, but in my own shadows, I struggled to breathe." The words, simple yet devastating, left those watching in stunned silence. The horrible secret was not scandal or betrayal. It was the unbearable loneliness and pressure that fame had imposed upon a man who had given everything but kept little for himself. As the video continued, subtle but breathtaking details emerged. Menglong's eyes lingered on the sunlight streaming through the window, his gaze far away yet sharply present, as though he were simultaneously leaving and observing the world he adored. His voice softened. "I want you to know that every smile, every message, every hand that reached for me, kept me alive. Even when I felt invisible, you saw me. And now, I hope to see you again in memory, in spirit, in truth." The camera lingered over a small pen, a half-finished sketch, and a scattering of voice notes on the table, fragments of a life both ordinary and extraordinary. Each object seemed to pulse with the energy of his existence, a silent testament to creativity and devotion. The air seemed to carry his presence, as if he were sitting among those who watched, guiding them to understand the essence of what he left behind. And then, the defining moment arrived, the explanation of the mysterious line in his will, the one that had left fans and friends alike guessing for months. "To the one who knows this is for them," he repeated, voice breaking slightly. "You may think it is one person, but it is everyone who ever reminded me I mattered. Everyone who reached for me, believed in me, or simply existed with kindness. That line was for you. All of you. It was my way of saying thank you, of confessing love I could never voice aloud." The emotion was palpable, tangible, pressing on the chest of anyone who witnessed it. Every viewer felt it differently. A parent watching with tears in their eyes, a fan clutching a letter they had sent years ago, a friend remembering a quiet moment on set. Menglong had managed to take his private truth and expand it into a universal embrace, wrapping millions in his final expression of gratitude and humanity. Among the most poignant elements was a video clip labeled "Final Sunrise." The dawn crept slowly across the frame, illuminating his face in golden warmth. He spoke directly to the light, and yet to the world. "If this is my last sunrise, let it remind you that endings carry beauty. Let it remind you that life continues, even when we depart. Let it remind you to see the soul behind the face, the story behind the smile." His hands, resting on the notebook, moved with a gentle rhythm, almost like a soft heartbeat in motion, grounding the recording in humanity rather than spectacle. In those moments, the video transcended tragedy. It became a meditation on life, mortality, and legacy. Menglong's faint trembles, his subtle nods, his quiet